What's up guys, Zenari here, and today I'm going to be talking about the premium BRO results and how Bermuda Triangle is affected by them. So if you'd like to see more content like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and click on the notification bell to get notified for more videos like this. So this is more of an analytical video, so there won't be any memes or anything this time. And we're gonna deep dive into this and to see how well the premium collection helped the clan of Bermuda. So let's get it started. So BRO happened this last weekend. I watched most of the games and most of the top cuts as much as I could, and a lot of stuff has been really going up in the meta game, and a lot of things have changed since the ban list and the new premium collection cards. And one of those is Bermuda Triangle, of course. Outer Orange revealed our new Stride, Heltrada, and our G-Guard, which is Larus, and it's helped the clan to get a massive diversity change that is so desperately needed. So before the premium collection, our main source of meta deck was Highlander in the form of Q-Tire. So going over the regions in their top 8 and top 16, we'll notice a different trend that has happened with the clan. So starting with AL, the first one, we have one Bermuda Triangle. It is a Highlander deck, but I will say right now that this focus of Highlander is not on Q-Tire. It is on Reindear, the V-Series Reindear. So we'll go over the first place winners list, which is WCC Suel. So congratulations for him on winning the AO region and topping and making top cut. So let's go on to the next region. EU, we have one Bermuda Triangle as well, and that is the same player. Although Suel did not make top 4 or top 3, Suel still was able to secure another day with Highlander, and I believe in both runs he went on a massive streak of winning and only having like a couple of losses, like 2 or 3 maybe throughout the entire day. So congratulations to him. And for NA, we have 3 Bermuda Triangle, 2 of them being Highlander, but again the focus on this isn't most or Q-Tire, it is most so of Reindeer. And we have 1 Riviere, which was able to close out as second place. The other 2 Highlander lists did not make it. I don't believe there was a Highlander. There was a Highlander in top 8, but they did not secure the one against Nightmare Doll, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but we have 3 Bermuda Triangle, and the most common trend that has been from this BRO is a Highlander is really strong with Heltrada and just having a very strong Stride. So let's go over WCC Suo's topping list. So I believe he used the same list for both days, and in this list he ran 3 Reindeer instead of 4. I'm not sure if there was a consistency reason or just another reason to have more space in the deck, but either way, this deck mostly focuses on Reindeer and having a very strong grade 3 turn, which I believe is a nice change of pace for the deck. Since I think before in the last meta, before premium collection, it was a lot more slower, meaning that we had to build up a lot more cards in our hand to be able to survive our opponent's turn, especially against like Nightmare Dolls and against Order Colony. Since Bermuda wasn't really that affected from Order Colony, they drew a lot of hands, a hand size, and under Gridora's Stride effect, the clan needed to build up a lot of cards. So now, since Ruination is hit to 1, the clan is allowed to be a little bit more aggro. And since a lot of the cards in premium collection kind of facilitates having a better early game and having a strong first Stride, I'm assuming that players started to go towards the Reindeer route and the Q-Tire play, albeit it is a very controversial type of talk as to how time and how Q-Tire is able to filter out anything in the deck. A lot more players are using it as just a drawing tool and to get cards they need to survive during the next turn, as in they're getting Rucius from the deck, getting Hanalise, anything you need for a specific situation, it will be always there. and Q-Tire can grab it. So, and from what I've seen from most of the matches with Highlander, if it was featured, they only use Q-Tire as a way to get specific cards or to filter out the deck, not more so as the main game plan strategy. So, and for Suo's list, you can see that's facilitated as he doesn't run any Alk in his list. Again, it could be changed since the EU list, he could have ran Alk, but in this list, I don't see any Alks. So it was more so that he's playing 4 Heltrata, which is the main stride. And Heltrata allows you to rewrite into Reindeer, and then Reindeer can give you extra Vanguard attack. And it gives you 3 Vanguard attacks for essentially just 1 Counterblast and the Soul Blast. And cards like Inesca and Olivia allows you to essentially get more free attacks while any discard a Counterblast, or Inesca to give you that Excel 2 and Protect 1 to mitigate the losses from Heltrata. So it is still a very strong card, and it's even stronger with Riviere. And no, it's stronger with Reindeer now that we have this card to be able to get more multiple Vanguard attacks for essentially a low cost. Now on to the NA lists. So for the first Highlander deck, we have another Reindeer variation. So for this version, they did make a Twitter post and said, well, not the actual player, but a friend of the player made a post that said that this list isn't optimized, which was very interesting to me. This list plays 4 Reindeer, and we see Arctoa and Olivia and Eve, and this one has Laura as well. So they also have a very strong grade 3 push turn if they check Laura to be able to call multiple cards and give them 10k. Arctoa is just in case like you have a bunch of cards on board, say like you called Lisa lot and being able to go aggressive early, you're able to restand for another attack. Olivia, again, just like Suo, had just a free restander. Eve is an odd one, but it might be to compensate for something else. You could argue that maybe they can ride the Eve as like a defensive body, but more so I believe is just for being able to be another grade 4 for Reindeer. And this list only runs 1 Aqua and 1 Q-Tire, so even if you don't have like that grade of cards, you can still like get Olivia with Reindeer and Lupina, and there's a bunch of other cards that are decently played as well. This list also doesn't run V-Ange. It is unoptimized, like their friend did say. However, them making top 16, and especially like a 300 plus person tournament, is nothing to sneeze at, especially since the power of Heltrata with Reindeer. I really got to see how strong it is, especially in your first grade 3 turn, to be able to push your opponent to essentially like 4 or higher damage depending on your hand. And again, we have Q-Tire to be able to search defensive pieces such as Sandy, Pumo, Rusius, and Hanali to be able to survive our opponent's first stride. Now in this list, they played the GB8, 1 Sandy, and 1 of Lirinal. She's an on-hit Shushu unit from way back when in the trial deck. And they played 2 Olivia. So again, I believe the main strategy is the friend will use Heltrata. If they do not have enough resources for Heltrata, they have other strategies to be able to compensate for that. So congratulations to the player that was able to make top 16 with this Highlander list. Now next we have to the last Highlander list, which took me a while to find. In this list they're playing 4 Reindeer, and this one is a little bit more optimized. They don't have any Laura's or Olivia, but they do have Inesca, and they're playing the 2 Q-Tire and 2 Aqua package, so they're using that package to be able to filter out cards during their grade 3 turn or their stride turns. And they play Bitcoin in this deck, which the other decks didn't play Bitcoin as much. And this is the only list that I've seen that play Alk in it. So I'm assuming there are turns where they will like to close the game out with multiple Pearl Sister attacks or do Heltrata into Reindeer, which it is fine by me and is a pretty okay strategy in this meta, since it gives the deck more versatility than just, oh, I have to Heltrata into Reindeer. Since there are times where you can not have a lot of hand size as Highlander, even before your stride turns, if you don't open up Q tire, and you just don't have enough for that cost for Helltrotter to discard 3. But however, I would say this list is well made. There are a lot of cards that make sense in the deck, such as having one of splitting the PGs between Enos and Wiz. You could argue you could play the overdress PG, but I'm assuming that this player wanted the on-ride filter if he has a ride PG. He's playing the participation promo from BSF to be able to get some advantage on his grade 2 turn. And I would opt to squeeze some room in for Olivia, as in with Raindear. It allows you to have a very strong grade 3 turn, even if you don't hit like a lot of great cards. Having like a rear guard with a force marker to restand for free, especially on your grade 3 turn, is really strong. So congratulations to this player for making top 16 in Bushiroad Springfest. And lastly, we have Riviere, the NA region. So Riviere is an interesting one. On stream for premium top cuts for essentially today, because I'm recording it after BRO ended, the Riviere player was able to go first over 2 to 3 turns or times throughout the showing of the stream, and they was able to superior ride into Riviere and essentially beat down their opponent with Selena and having a good early game, as in just skipping the grade 2 rides. So they play 2 Helltrotter and they have 2 of the Progenitor Dragon, which if they had a cost to use Progenitor, after that you can go into Progenitor again for essentially no cost if they had the right amount of great ones and stuff to be able to close out the game. 3 Tira to be able to allow your Selenas to attack multiple times in a turn. Again, they're playing Larus. I believe all is play at least 1 or 2 Larus, and everything else is pretty standard. El Prina, I believe, is probably for Mega Colony if they see it, or just to bounce back some cards and net some advantage from either the Heal Guard or from Lethal Eye. But this list is pretty standard and well built, I would say, in my opinion. The Riviere player showed a lot of aggression when it came to them getting the first turn and being able to essentially superior ride on the opponent and to end the game as fast as possible. Although in the end, the player was not able to close out against Nightmare Dolls, it was still a good run for the Riviere players, so congratulations to them. So now let's go over my overall thoughts for BRO, the clan itself for Bermuda, and what possibly in the future we can see more lists brew from this. So I will say that another shocking piece of data that was released was that there was 19 Bermuda players for the EU region. So this can mean a couple things: that A, the Stride did do what it was supposed to do, and it got a lot more people invested to play the clan, since there was a lot of decks that couldn't really do anything. And since V series has a lot of good cards that are able to essentially use Helltrotter's skill to its fullest potential, it allowed people to bring their V series deck, no matter like how good it is or how strong it is. It allowed them to express themselves and be able to play in a premium format, which Bermuda was severely lacking since 2019 and so on and so forth. So I would say that the Stride has done its job in trying to help more people get into the format and allow it to diversify Bermuda Triangle as a whole. So the next thing I would like to talk about is the Highlander lists. So I will say Highlander is still probably the best variation of Bermuda at this moment. However, I will say that there are now 2 variations of Highlander that does seem to be a forefront for the clan. So we have Q Tire as the main focus, and you can see that with the opponent's deck lists or the player's deck list, as in they're not running any Raindear, and there's a Raindear version of Highlander. So obviously one version is a little bit more aggressive than the other. One has a lot of draw power, filtering, and a lot of deck compression, while the other wants to finish the game first stride or possibly second stride to be able to close it out. So both have their strengths and weaknesses. They both use Q Tire in the same way. However, one of them is a lot more aggressive in the early game in their turn 3 rather than trying to build resources for those turns. Since the meta is a lot more early game focused, as in a lot of decks are now trying to grade 2 game or have cards that include grade 2 gaming to prevent your opponent from striding first. This in turn, I believe, was what influenced a lot of people to go to just Reindeer, as in if your opponent grade 2 games you can at least push them to high damage depending on the deck that you're facing. And if you do hit Q-Tire or a couple of good cards to call, you can filter and get your defensive pieces such as Sandy and any other card to be able to facilitate for you to survive that turn. So I will say that at the moment there are 2 Highlander lists that are doing successful. That is Q-Tire Lander and the Raindear as the lead. So with other decks with Bermuda Triangle, we have seen Reindeer do well. I've seen also a Prism Highlander list that was shown on stream. I forgot which region, but it was against Derek Dow in one of the matches, and I will say that they both played extremely well and piloting both of their turns to be able to steal the match. And I will say that it is Prism Highlander is a deck as well. They also use Q-Tire, but they have the base of Prism, so it's unrestricted in premium, and you're able to just combine Q-Tire, will filter your hand with a bunch of cards and drawing for the natural engine that Prism has. As well as there's also base Prisms, which I did make a deck profile for. There was multiple people, or a couple of people, that brought just normal Prisms to BRO. There was a couple of Rivières that were in BRO. One of them happened to top. Others did just as well. Not in the top tables, but they have done just as well. There were a few Ange players I heard about, and it's just great to see that the clay now has a lot more diversity since Heltrada has been introduced. As for LaRousse, although it wasn't shown in stream as much, I would believe that she's still a very good support card, as in she's able to just become a 30k shield for a counterblast or essentially give you a mini defensive trigger, which I've seen many times on stream from Bermuda players that weren't Riviere. Giving power to your Vanguard allows you to survive so many attacks, and being able to stack that power with LaRousse and other cards allows you to essentially survive what could be a devastating turn and allow you to close out the game the next turn. So I will say LaRousse is also a very good card that helps a lot of Bermuda Triangle decks. So what can I expect to see in the future for Bermuda Triangle Premium? Well, I expect Highlander to still do well, both versions, and I expect some people to try to experiment to make a more a grade 2 type of deck to be able to punish your opponent if they don't ride up. So I've seen this a lot of times at BRO where people will grade 2 game and they will either punish by riding up and dealing a lot of damage or ripping a lot of cards out of their hand, or they'll grade 2 game and ride back down, which you can't ride back down with Reindeer. You could do that with Riviere as well. However, Prisms could draw a massive amount of cards before your opponent strides and have a high chance of surviving their turn. And other decks do have that as well, albeit it might not be as strong. They can put a lot of pressure on your opponent's grade 3 turn, a grade 2 turn if they decide to not ride up. So I expect more people to try to experiment into this mindset of grade 2 gaming and either having a very strong grade 3 turn or having a very good grade 2 game. Next, I expect something to be new when we get our new promo Martoa. Martoa helps Heltrada naturally, being able to call an extra card during the battle phase, and it allows some decks to be able to get that extra reach, such as if a deck like Highlander can play Martoa, they're able to essentially call another card during the battle phase. So you could call Martoa, a Pearl Sister, and another Pearl Sister to be able to have a boosting rear guard and both of the Pearl Sisters on the board, as well as any other deck to be able to play multiple copies. You can play more cards during the Heltrada turn. So something like Ange is able to call 2 Martoas and call 2 more normal units for example, maybe like the Pearl Sisters, and to be able to use her skill in the mid battle phase from Heltrata. So that can help a lot for that deck. And other decks in the future that might be brewed can also use Martello to be able to extend from Heltrata. And yeah, I believe once we get Martello, I believe there will be a lot more decks to be able to use and utilize this new promo. For Lyrical Wave 3, we'll have to see what type of new cards that they print to see if there will be more text to the Highlander deck to be able more a defensive or aggressive play, or there will be a new Overdress boss that could be its own deck. So far, out of the only Overdress bosses, I would say Kyrie is probably the most viable, since Persona riding on Heltrata is a very strong turn. I would say it is a little bit slow in this meta, since a lot of strides and a lot of cards do put a lot of pressure on your opponent first stride. However, I would say from the plethora of defensive options Bermuda has, it can work. So we'll see if Overdress introduces a new grade 3 boss or some new cards that can help facilitate to these Overdress cards, and if Overdress will increase any of the older Bermuda Triangle decks. Maybe we could see something like the rise of Shizuku or Old Harmony list based on these new cards. And with that being said, that will be all for the discussion for BRO from the past weekend and my thoughts on Bermuda Triangle. So I think that the clan's in a very good, healthy spot. Now, if it will be affected by the ban list, I can possibly see them just hitting Q-Tire to prevent future shenanigans, or them hitting like Akari to prevent infinite mill loop that you can do with the card, and just to create a more like healthy format. There are a lot of people who still do not like Q-Tire. Even though I don't like Q-Tire as well, I can still see it being hit just due to time and being able to search any card in your deck. But we will see if Bushiroad actually responds to this. They are aware that the card can create time problems, but players have been gotten much faster using Q-Tire, and as well as now shifting to a Reindeer focus build. Q-Tire is not the focus, so they're just using the card to filter. It makes their turns a little bit longer, but it's not as long as it once was before the previous ban list in Premium Collection. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will be uploading more, and I deeply apologize for not uploading any videos for the last couple of days. And I will be doing some more premium deck profiles and some more discussions in the future. So if you guys enjoyed, I'm Zenarion, and I'm signing off.